Welcome to the Wicked Game Podcast. It is the evening of the 13th of January 2025 at the time of recording. Rumours of the imminent reveal of the successor to the Nintendo Switch have reached a fever point. It really does feel like we are days away from an announcement. In fact, by the time that this podcast goes live, there probably will have been an announcement. In which case you will never hear this podcast because I will probably remove it and re-record it and repost it after an announcement has been made. But nevertheless, in this episode, I wanted to take a step back and do a bit of a deep dive into the history of the rumours and speculation of what I will be referring to in this episode as the Nintendo Switch 2. I mentioned in the last episode how much I enjoyed and how much fun I was having with all of the speculation and the rumours and the leaks, and how I think that we will be looking back at this period in the years to come with nostalgia. So I wanted to record something to document this period and keep track of all the speculation so that we can look back at this in the future. Some of the information we'll be discussing today will involve tech specs, of course, which I'm not an expert on at all, so I apologise in advance if I get some of this information incorrect. And of course, many of the rumours over the past few years do at times blur into one another. And of course, I can't possibly include an exhaustive list of all of the rumours and the speculations and leaks that have appeared over the recent years. There are so many that if I was to list them all or try and track them all in this podcast, we would be here all night. As a little bit of a disclaimer, all of the information that we are discussing in this episode is purely rumour and speculation, except of course where Nintendo has officially commented. So please don't sue me, Nintendo, I love you. Without further ado, let's get stuck in. So to fully understand the rumours and the decisions Nintendo has or has not been making with regards to the Switch 2, it's important that we put this discussion into a little bit of context first and explore the history of their consoles over recent years. So back in 2006, Nintendo released what would become one of the most successful video games consoles of all time. The Wii sold over 100 million units and was a worldwide phenomenon. They were also seeing financial success with the Nintendo DS as well, which was an even greater achievement with over 150 million sold. Combined, Nintendo had peaked and were really dominating the gaming market during this period, being able to reach out and appeal to the masses and targeting individuals who were never before interacted with video games or gaming at all. Everyone and their grandma had a Wii. Quite literally, a quarter of households in the UK, it is believed, housed a Wii console. The popular girls in school, the goths, the emos, the punks, the skater boys, the jocks, the chavs, the working classes, the middle classes, the upper classes, everybody had a Wii. Towards the end of the noughties, Nintendo set their sights on their next generation of handheld and home consoles. Of course, the success of the Wii and the Nintendo DS now presented a problem. Practically every target audience of Nintendo's already owned a Wii or a DS. The casual market was absolutely saturated. So, do Nintendo lean into further innovation, create something new, potentially alienating the new fans? Or do they try and iterate and build upon their previous success, potentially not doing enough to warrant buying their new console? So you can see why this is relevant to the Switch and the situation that we're facing at the moment. In 2011, the 3DS launched and was a huge success with 75 million units sold. The 3D novelty of the machine was enough to spark interest, while the iterative nature of the model was familiar enough that it didn't alienate fans. Then in 2012, as we know, the Wii U launched and an appalling 13.5 million units sold across its life. We won't go into the whys and hows and wheres of the Wii U here. We all know it. Scott the Was on YouTube does a much better job than me of explaining its downfall. But in short, there weren't enough good games. The concept lent too heavily into appearing as if it was an iteration of the Wii, so much so that customers just assumed that it was an add-on rather than a new console. And the innovation of the console was also not enough to entice people. Picking up a Wii controller and hitting a tennis ball is something we all know how to do in concept. The Wii U's gamepad was just less intuitive. So the next few years saw some of the darkest ages of Nintendo. But there was light at the end of the tunnel. Codenamed the NX, the Nintendo Switch was first revealed by Nintendo as far back as 2015, with a new Zelda for the new device and the Wii U announced in 2016 for a 2017 reveal date. When the Switch first launched, it wasn't too much fanfare. The feeling was more of relief and hope. I seem to remember at the time, relief that something was replacing the Wii U, and hope that this would not see the downfall of Nintendo. Despite a relatively quiet launch window, which was understandable considering the poor performance of the Wii U, and if you're a third-party developer, you would not be trying to prioritize the new Nintendo console. We all know what came next. A huge success, possibly the greatest success in the history of video game consoles. 146 million units sold and counting. It is my personal favourite console of all time, and I know handheld gaming has developed a lot over the past 5 years, but we really cannot understate how important the Nintendo Switch was and is. How being able to play games like Zelda Breath of the Wild in bed, in the bath, on the toilet, on the train, how incredible that was back in 2017, and how incredible it is still now as well. So Nintendo now face a similar problem to what they did a few years ago. How do you follow up on a masterpiece? Rumours of the next iteration of the Nintendo Switch started circulating pretty much as soon as the Nintendo Switch was launched in 2017. It wasn't until 2019 where these rumours really started to ramp up, with many analysts and journalists predicting that Nintendo would soon be launching a mini version of the Nintendo Switch and a Pro version of the Nintendo Switch. We know that they were at least half right with the launch of the Nintendo Switch Lite in September 2019. Despite that, there was still rumours that year that more would come from Nintendo before the year finished. In October, the Wall Street Journal reported that suppliers knew of a plan for another refresh to the system before the end of the year. And in December, Nvidia announced a new chip, leading many to speculate what it could be used for. Potentially a new Nintendo Switch model? During 2020, as we were all getting very comfortable with each other during the pandemic and playing a lot of Animal Crossing, there were several whispers that Nintendo were working on a potential Pro model of the Switch. Reports suggested at the time this device would feature 4K output, an upgraded processor, an improved battery, and pretty much everything you can imagine depending on which leaker or rumour spreader you were speaking with. Outlets like Games Radar and IGN both reported rumours of a new Switch model dropping as early as the middle of 2020. Some even suggested that Nintendo were tempted to compete with the launch of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X that year, and were looking at releasing a Pro model around about the same time as they were releasing, or later in the year, to try and tempt people away from that. Several outlets in April 2020 were also reporting a rumour that a new Switch console would be dual screen, with a clamshell design similar to that of the Nintendo DS or the Game Boy Advance SP. There were several mock-ups of this clamshell design circulating during the time as potential leaks directly from Nintendo. I don't think any of them have ever been verified, but do look them up because they do look fantastic and they're incredibly interesting. This is something that I've always been tempted to call for from Nintendo, is a clamshell version of the Nintendo Switch. I think there's a lot that they could do with two screens, and it's something that I've hoped that they would potentially do for the Nintendo Switch too, with regards to potentially the dock and turning the dock into some sort of usable screen. I'm not sure how realistic it is, but nevertheless it's really interesting to look back and see that that was the sort of thing we were speculating about in 2020. Nintendo themselves in late 2020 in September stated that they would not be releasing a new model of the Nintendo Switch that year. However, of course, that didn't stop the rumour mill. A news outlet in Taiwan was reporting the possibility of a new Switch model during the first quarter of 2021, reporting that it would be more interactive and have a wider screen. In some respects, it's quite interesting to look back at this rumour. At the time, it didn't seem particularly exciting. A little bit of more interactivity, a little bit of a wider screen. But now we know that that's probably one of the more accurate leaks or rumours, because that is essentially what the Nintendo Switch OLED ended up becoming. A little bit more interactive. Well, it had a better kickstand and of course a wider screen. Less ambitious than a Switch Pro, but more realistic. The rumours really start to ramp up in 2021. Halfway through the year, another Nvidia chip was released, or at least leaked, showing similar specs to that of what we saw in 2019 and speculated to be part of the development for a new Switch model. However, of course, all of the rumours peaked in the middle of the year when Nintendo announced the release of the Switch OLED for an October release date. Of course, it's impossible to know whether there were any plans for a Switch Pro at all, or if the rumours were just that, rumours. However, speculation since then suggests that there may have been plans for a Pro model, but the impact on the chip shortage following the pandemic meant that Nintendo needed to seek alternatives to a Pro Switch, which didn't involve touching the internals of the machine, that being, of course, the OLED. The question now was whether there would ever be a Switch Pro, or whether Nintendo would set their sights on the next generation. The rumours in 2022 kicked off with a Nvidia data breach revealing what some expected to be a new chip or a new API for a new Nintendo console. It was unclear whether this would have been for a new Nintendo Switch entirely, a Nintendo Switch sequel, or whether this was being planned for the Super Switch. And later that year, Digital Foundry suggested that a planned mid-generation upgrade, aka the Switch Pro, had been cancelled. Instead, Nintendo was focusing its efforts on a true next-generation successor. Nintendo's president also hinted that the company was considering the Switch's successor, but was focusing on extending the life cycle of the existing hardware, according to Polygon in 2022. Rumours of a potential 2024 reveal or release date of the next Nintendo Switch console circulated as early as May in 2022 and then were repeated throughout the year, and not least of all in December as well, sparking a wave of rumours and speculation about the years to come. So 2022 ended, and no, we didn't end up with a Nintendo Switch Pro or a Super Switch. I think everybody at this point pretty much wrote off the idea of getting a Pro Switch at this point. So as you'd expect, the rumours going into 2023 were rampant that a new console, the next generation of Nintendo's home console, would be coming at some point soon. I don't believe in retrospect that anybody really expected this to be in 2023, but I think most were in agreement that it would be coming at some point in the following year, in 2024, like all the rumours suggested. In May 2023, during an earnings call, Nintendo supposedly admitted declining Switch sales, which isn't really surprising considering we were 6 years into the console's life by this point. In July 2023, Video Games Chronicle issued a report claiming that the Switch 2 would be released in the second half of 2024, and sources confirmed that dev kits were now in with key partner studios to ensure that they avoided the supply issues that plagued PlayStation and Xbox in those early years following their release of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox. It's easy to forget these days actually how impossible it was, or nearly impossible it was, to get hold of a PS5 and Xbox Series X following their releases in 2020 and 2021. Myself included in that as well. I really struggled, and in fact I don't think I got hold of a PlayStation 5 until 2022, and I think I had to purchase it on a subscription, a bit like a mobile phone subscription. Nintendo could not risk that, so if there was a demand, they needed to be able to fulfill it. Eurogamer also reported in 2023 that the Switch 2 was demoed at Gamescom in August, and suggested that a potential release date was for the latter half of 2024. An upgraded Breath of the Wild was supposedly shown off during this demo. During the Activision Blizzard court case with Microsoft that was going on at this period, if you recall, over Call of Duty and having exclusivity to that, or Microsoft having exclusivity to that franchise. A lot of emails were leaked and brought up during this court case. One of those as well included emails with Nintendo and suggested that the power of the Switch 2 would be roughly that of the 8th generation of consoles, aka the PS4 era. So most were in agreement towards the end of 2023. We would be getting a Switch 2 in 2024, surely, but spoiler alert, we didn't. So all the rumours in 2023 pointed towards a 2024 release date. Next year, we all thought. And as a Nintendo fan, 2024 was an excruciating and exciting year. Almost every week, there were new rumours and leaks circulating. On multiple occasions during the year, we thought an announcement was imminent, only to be left disappointed. It's actually very funny looking back at this period, and I appreciate it was only a year ago, but there really was so many points where we all convinced ourselves that there would be an announcement tomorrow or next week, and so many dates were flying around and people were so convinced that it was going to happen, and it just didn't. It's also worth mentioning as well that we didn't have the excitement of Tears of the Kingdom to keep us busy like we did in 2023. We were starved for a decent lineup of games and information on the successor to the Switch in 2024. In May, Nintendo tried to manage our expectations. They revealed an announcement about the Switch successor, saying that it would be revealed before the end of the fiscal year. So potentially, we might not hear anything from them officially until the 31st of March 2025. None of us really expected or hoped that to be taken to the extreme. We were all, I think, hoping that the 2024 date would be selected. In hindsight, however, all the 2024 reveal rumours were a little bit unrealistic. There was never going to be a chance that Nintendo would reveal the next Switch before Christmas and not release it until the next year. Why would they jeopardise the last opportunity that they have for holiday Switch sales and to ensure that the Switch becomes the number one games console of all time? In September last year, unverified images, a mixture of computer-aided design and printed circuit boards, were leaked on the internet, supposedly originated from a Chinese website before then making their way onto Reddit, of course. These images depicted a device similar to the existing Nintendo Switch console, but with a larger 8-inch screen, I believe, magnetic Joy-Cons, a USB-C port on the top and the bottom of the console, and I believe this was the leak as well that showed that there was an extra button that we now are referring to the C button on the Joy-Con. Accompanying the images was an alleged specifications list that mentioned 12 gig of RAM, bear in mind the original Switch has 4 gig, and 256 gig of internal storage. Rumour had it that the Switch 2 would be roughly as powerful as a PS4 Pro during this period, leading many to speculate about the potential third-party titles that could be coming to the new console, notably Final Fantasy VII Remake, and as I've already mentioned on this console, my prediction is that it could possibly be Elden Ring. It was during this period that we all started getting very excited, and the rumour mill was starting to hint at an October reveal. It felt real this time. We all convinced ourselves that it was going to happen, and of course it didn't. There is a part of me that thinks that perhaps Nintendo were gearing up for an October release, but they were waiting to see how certain things were panning out. However, more images began to leak during this period, and mock-ups of this Nintendo Switch were circulated online. Some appeared legitimate and some less so. We even got a leak on Christmas Day last year showing off a Switch model. However, it's been argued since that the photo released contained AI-generated images, although I think that could possibly just be to hide the surroundings and hide the leaker's identity, whereas the Switch model itself could very well be real. So at this point, at the end of 2024, we are pretty certain what the new Switch console is going to look like, at least in concept, or at least we think so. It's going to have those magnetic Joy-Cons. It's going to look and essentially be the exact same as the Nintendo Switch in concept. It will probably be called the Nintendo Switch 2. There will be a C port on the top as well as the bottom, and there'll be an extra C button somewhere on the Joy-Cons as well. And we think it will be roughly around the power of a PS4, potentially a PS4 Pro. If we thought the 2024 rumour mill got out of hand, that was nothing compared to the smorgasbord of speculation that we've received so far in 2025. As I'm recording this in what is the second or third week in January in 2025, it really does put in perspective how ridiculous the rumours and leaks have been already this year. The sheer number of leaks has even forced Nintendo to put out a statement saying that the images are not official. In the first week of the year, at a tech convention in Las Vegas, CES, accessory company Genki showed off mock-ups of what they insisted was a real Switch 2 system, or reportedly so anyway. And they were using this as a basis for accessories that they were producing to try and sell. Rumour has it that upon hearing about this, Nintendo sent lawyers to the convention to have a little chat with Genki representatives. I think this is unlikely that Nintendo were present at the convention, and if this story is true, I just love the imagery there. The imagery of Nintendo ordering staff in Japan to quickly hop on a plane and shoot across the world to Las Vegas to scare the crap out of Genki. I have no idea whether this is true. This is just purely rumour like everything else in this video. Genki's supposed defence was that they were using leaks of the Nintendo Switch dimensions that they found online. They were already circulating. They didn't have any official deal apparently with Nintendo. They weren't breaking any non-disclosure rules or any rules at all. However, I would not like to argue that with Nintendo's lawyers at all. Pictures of the Joy-Cons have also released earlier this year, leading many people to speculate over the possibility of them being used in a similar way as a mouse due to a sensor that seemingly appears on the inside of the Joy-Con. Pictures of the supposed internals have also been leaked a couple of weeks ago, showing potential for AI upscaling. However, as we know, there is a debate about whether these specs suggest that the Switch 2 could be as powerful as a PS4 Pro or not. Prominent gaming journalist Tom Warren a couple of weeks ago also poo-pooed the idea of it being as powerful as a PS4 Pro, contradicting those earlier rumours that we heard. And now here we are, the week commencing the 13th of January 2025, and things are just getting a bit silly now. Speculation is that Nintendo are gearing up for an announcement this week, potentially as I record this podcast. Rumour has it that it will be revealed on Thursday the 16th of January, so we'll have to wait and see if that happens and reflect on that in the months and years to come. Supposedly, this date has been picked because it's far away enough from Christmas, but also avoids the presidential inauguration next week and some of the world events that have been happening at the moment as well. One leaker also suggested that the announcement trailer would feature hardware almost exclusively, with Nintendo opting to showcase games at a later date. However, this could all very well be just like we were going through during the autumn last year, when the rumours and the speculation was so adamant and so confident that we were going to get a reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2, and it never happened. I don't want to say this feels different this time. I think it only feels different this time because of how much time has gone by, and it seems ridiculous that we haven't had a reveal yet. But if I'm honest, it does feel like it did in, was it September and October last year? It feels like it's imminent. It feels like everybody's talking about it, but we really don't know. A Reddit user this week who works at GameStop has also revealed that Switch 2 micro SD cards can be found on their internal system. Another indication that an announcement could be on its way. We also had former Nintendo employees this week state that Nintendo are very, very, very upset over recent leaks and mad to the most severe level. And the final leak, the final rumour today, is from a French retailer who revealed on Discord that the Switch 2 will apparently launch at the cost of $399. So there we have it. By no means an exhaustive list of all of the Nintendo Switch 2 rumours, speculation and leaks, but a brief summary and snapshot of them over the past few years. Question remains, is it going to happen? Are we going to get a reveal this week. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. At the time of me finishing this podcast episode, it is Wednesday night, the 15th of January, and all of the rumours suggest there will be a reveal tomorrow on Thursday, the 16th of January. But we would have expected Nintendo to have trailed this announcement at some point today, and as far as I can see, that's not happening. I imagine my phone would be buzzing off the charts if that was the case, if there had been an announcement for an announcement whilst I was recording this. So what do I think is going to happen? Dare I say it, but despite what I've just said, I do think we're going to get an announcement from Nintendo tomorrow. I think they are upset that so much information about the Nintendo Switch 2 has already been leaked. I think they're going to have to take a long, hard look in the future about how they stop this happening, how they prevent this from happening again. I think there will be a trailer that will mostly focus on the hardware. I think what we have seen so far is probably going to be what we are going to get. However, I think there will still be some surprises. I know a lot of people have found the past few months and years waiting for a reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2 to be a little bit frustrating, and I feel you. I agree to some extent as well. However, this entire period has just hyped me up so much. One of the things I've really loved about this period has been the community of Nintendo Switch fans on Reddit and other social media sites, hyping ourselves up, joking about the reveal of the Nintendo Switch. The Tomorrow subreddit on Reddit, of course, has been absolutely hilarious. And I've been obsessed with videos on YouTube from the likes of Arlo and Beat 'em Ups and the Nintendo podcast, as well as many more. I've just had so much enjoyment from this period, and I really am, as I keep saying, going to be looking back very fondly on this period in the years to come. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Will it be this week? Will it be tomorrow? Who knows? Let's wait and see. In the time being, please do drop me a comment down below. Let me know whether you think the Nintendo Switch is going to be revealed this week and what you are looking forward to most about this console. Let me know your predictions. Let me know what you think is going to happen, whether it's going to be a success, whether it's going to be a failure. What is that C port on the top of the console going to be used for? What is the sensor on the Joy-Con going to be used for? Will it be a mouse? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts. It's goodbye for now, and hopefully the next time we speak, we'll have a Nintendo Switch 2. #tomorrow.